In my previous videos, I have shown how to do the CCS retrofit for older Tesla Model 3s and Ys. For 2021 and newer, you will be able to charge directly with a CCS adapter without any modifications. Let's take a look at what I got today. I would like to thank LaTough for providing this CCS adapter today for me to review. On the side of the box, it states that it is IPX5 waterproof and the operating temperature is negative 22 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 30 to 50 C. On the back, it shows the adapter being used with a CCS1 plug and below that with a J1772 plug. Yes, that is the unique feature of this device. It is a universal AC and DC to Tesla adapter. Basically, two adapters in one. I'll remove the tape on the front and fold the flap over to reveal what is inside. First, there is a folded user manual on top. Let's look at that first. It shows info on the device. For example, it supports up to 250 kilowatts at CCS1 stations and up to 80 amps max for AC charging. It also has warnings on its use. On the last page, there's a list of certifications and tests. Underneath this is a piece of foam. We now see that the CCS adapter is snugly fitted inside of the foam support within the box. Pulling out the adapter, let's have a closer look. On the side, there is a label with all of the pertinent specs that I just mentioned. This end shows the Tesla plug side where it will get inserted into the car's charge port. There is also a lock pin that I will explain later on. It also warns that if the charge guard valve is damaged or missing, do not use with a J1772 charging connector. This is the flap that's just below the J1772 AC area, and it covers the two CCS DC leads. The unique charge guard valve feature ensures safe charging at all times. The valve locks when the adapter is in use with the J772 charger, preventing any potential safety hazards. It's constructed with a high-grade polycarbonate for the outer shell, and the connectors are made from 8mm thick pure copper with silver plating to ensure excellent conductivity, and delivers up to 250 kilowatts DC fast charging. Now I will weigh the adapter on my digital scale. I get 1 pound 13 ounces, or 29 ounces, or 822 grams. This is my 40 amp J1772 setup in my garage. This is the standard Tesla adapter, so you can use the J1772 plug with the Tesla charge port. It fits onto the end of the plug like this. The universal adapter works very similarly. Insert the J772 plug into the top section of the adapter. Make sure that the flap is closed. It will snap into place. It will stay in place pretty solidly. Just press the button on the J1772 handle to remove the plug from the adapter like this. The long, thin pin at the top of the adapter is for locking in the J772 or CCS plugs to the adapter. It pushes against the release mechanism to keep it from moving. Here I will insert the plug into the adapter to show you. I'll press against the pin to simulate it being attached to the car and pushing on the handle's release lever. And as you can see, the button does not allow the handle to be removed from the adapter. But when I release the pin, the plug can be taken out of the adapter as seen here. The first test with the Home J772 EVSE. Let's test it on my 2018 Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. With the adapter attached to the plug, open the charge port door and insert the adapter into the port. Once in firmly, notice the flashing green light that shows charging is starting up. Here's a close-up view of the adapter connected to the car. Note the locking pin is pushed in against the charge port area. I can go in the car and check out the charging. It will start to charge by showing the amperage increasing and the voltage will settle down between 236 to 238. I have it set to 40 amps and that is what is shown on the screen. This provides about 10 kilowatts. Going over to the EVSE, you can see that it shows the voltage and amperage going into the car. It will be slightly higher due to conversion losses on the car's onboard charger. After about 20 minutes of charging, let's see how it's doing. I have done previous testing of EVSEs while charging, and I was curious how the temperature of the charging adapter compares to the ambient as well as the J1772 handle. 85.3 for ambient, 86.7 to 89.5 for the handle, and 85 to 86.9 degrees Fahrenheit on the adapter itself. And as you can see, there is hardly any difference in the readings. Next, I go into the car and press the stop charging and unlock charge port buttons. Pull the handle out of the charge port, press the button to disconnect the adapter from the plug, and we are done with this test. Test 2 is with a public J1772 charging station that charges up to 48 amps. And as I did with the home test, just attach the J1772 plug from the public charging station into the universal adapter. Make sure the bottom flap stays closed. Then insert into the car. Going inside the car, I can see that the charging process has started. It will ramp up to 48 amps and 240 volts at this location. By the way, many commercial locations use 208 volts for this wiring setup, which gives slightly less total output. Multiplying volt times amps to get the total watts delivered to the car, in this case it's 11.5 kilowatts. The most that modern Teslas can accept from a level 2 AC charging setup. I let it fill up for several minutes before stopping the charging. That gives me about 10 miles, enough to reach my next test. I press the stop charging button and then unlock charge port button to end the session. I can then pull out the handle from the car and disconnect the adapter. You definitely don't want to forget your adapter at a public charging station. Also, place the handle in the holster and don't leave the charging cord on the ground. And this concludes the AC charging tests, and it works pretty well. Next up is DC charging. Test number 3 is with a 150 kilowatt CCS1 charging station. This happens to be an Electrify America location with several stalls. When attaching the adapter to the handle, make sure you fold the flap down to expose the DC terminals. Then the CCS plug will fit into the adapter. Push it all the way in till it snaps into place. Now I'm ready to plug it into the car. They all are 150 kilowatts, and I have checked plug share for the most reliable ones to try. I even asked some people charging, and they mostly get around 90 to 100 kilowatts when they charge here. And of course, charging speed depends on the CCS station. Note that there are 50, 100, 150, and 350 kilowatt CCS stations. You will be limited by the max kilowatt rating on the station. You will not get the full kilowatt rating on a Tesla due to the volt and amp requirements. Here are the results of the charging session. I started at 2% state of charge and steadily increased the charge rate from 84 up to 100 kilowatts. Then around 72% the charge rate dropped off dramatically. In all, a fairly interesting charge curve. This is different behavior from superchargers which start and reach max kilowatts very early and taper off, sometimes dramatically, as it charges. With CCS1 stations, you need to stop the charging from the stall itself, usually on the touchscreen or a physical stop button. Then I can remove the plug from the car. Then press the button on the handle to pull the adapter from the plug to detach. This is the fourth and final test, and it's with a 350 kilowatt CCS1 charging station. I happen to have a few 350 kilowatt stations in my metro area. The one less than 2 miles from my house was not working at the time I wanted to test it. This one, which is an EVgo, is about 15 minutes away. I apologize for showing this at night, but that's the only time I had availability to charge. And here's a closer look at how to attach the CCS1 plug to this universal adapter. Then I open the charge port door and insert the plug. Starting the charging session, the car is at 3%, just a little more than the 2% that I had at the 150 kilowatt in the last test. I'll use my phone to start the charge process. It takes about a minute to connect to the car and begin charging. On the EVgo chargers, you can get more info by clicking on the Session Details button at the bottom of the screen. It adds more detail like volts, amps, as well as max values during the session. I'll run through this at 100 times speed. Both of these DC charging tests I charged up to 80%, since that's usually the tipping point where DC starts to slow dramatically. On road trips, it's best to charge from a low state of charge, say 5%, up to 70 or 80%. Charging like this will optimize long distance trips to take less time. I noticed during the charging session that just feeling the adapter, it's pretty much close to ambient. It doesn't feel any hotter than the surrounding plug or car. As I showed before, when the charging session is complete, pull the entire plug from the car. Sometimes, like at this station, I had to press the button to disengage and pull it out. Then press the release button again on the handle to disconnect the adapter. Then place the CCS1 handle back onto the charging stall's holster. Here's a chart of the kilowatts versus state of charge, or also known as the charge curve. It starts at 120 kilowatts and rapidly reaches a max of 174. It stays at that level until about 41% and then gradually declines all the way to the stopping point at 80%. I have had charge rates up to 205 kilowatts using a CCS adapter, and it depends on various things, such as the brand of the charger, the temperature, the car's battery pack, and a whole lot of other variables. This charge curve may be different at another location at a different time of day. When placing that 150 and 350 kilowatt sessions on the same chart, you can see how dramatic the faster station can be. In the end, the 350 kilowatt charger took only 27 minutes to get to 80%, 10 minutes faster than the 150 kilowatt charger. That's 27% faster. That can make a big difference on a long distance trip with multiple charging stops. However, if you're at a state of charge of 62% or more, both CCS 150 and 350 stations will charge at roughly the same rate. So pick the slower charger as the polite choice if you arrive at a higher battery percentage. Usually 350 stations are limited in number compared to the 150s. So in conclusion, I've covered the unboxing and showing how to use the LaTough universal charging adapter. I tested it using 4 different charging scenarios to give you a good idea how it works. One major advantage over using this universal Tesla J1772 adapter is the built-in locking mechanism. Then you don't have to worry about the J1772 plug being removed from the car when charging at a public location. Peace of mind that your charging session will not be interrupted. Second, having both the CCS1 and J1772 in one adapter saves space that's needed otherwise if you have 2 adapters in the car. This makes sense if you're keeping them in the center storage console. If you're interested in this item, see the link in the video description. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.